Today in the Chokeslam Wrestling Report, we are going to be talking about the CM Punk interview with Ariel Helwani as he spoke about AEW, his thoughts, what happened at AEW All In, and his thought on Tony Khan. Is this going to affect AEW this Wednesday and on? We're going to be talking about that and much more on the Chokeslam Wrestling Report.
Is the moment we've all been waiting for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome to another episode of the Chokeslam Wrestling Report. I am your host, the infamous Ultimate One. And today we're going to be talking about the CM Punk interview. The CM Punk interview that kind of surprised me that he actually spoke about AEW and his thought on Tony Khan, because for about 6-7 months, all we have heard that there's an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, that they cannot talk about what happened at All In. Apparently, there isn't one, because he got into Ariel Helwani's show. Ariel asked him about what happened with him and Jack Perry. But before that, he was talking about how the ball got rolling and how he got back into WWE, his Survivor Series appearance. And funny that something that we didn't know was that he could have went and signed with WWE the night or the week after he got fired from AEW. Now, you ask yourself, well, his contract is null and void. Well, apparently he still got contract with AEW, because he mentioned it, that he still got a year left. So AEW is still paying CM Punk's contract, even though he is not with AEW, which is crazy, because we always wonder why every time somebody brought up about CM Punk, Tony Khan never wanted to talk about it. Was there an NDA? He didn't want to talk about it. He never wanted to talk about the NDA. Here we are today, and we get to find out that he is still under AEW's payroll and whatnot. If you guys don't believe me, well, you got to do is just look at the damn interview that he had this past Monday. So that was very interesting to me, because I'm like, just imagine what would have happened if he would have went and showed up the following Monday Night Raw and whatnot, or the following week. How would that affect the AEW and his ratings and whatnot? It's bad enough right now with this interview popping out that this is definitely going to affect AEW to the core and whatnot. We may be seeing AEW at 300, AEW Dynamite at 300 something, because people are going to see that Tony Khan is, well, it's been said in between, dirt sheets and reporters and that Tony Khan is not a real boss. And I know for a fact other podcasters that I don't work with, Jay Santee has talked about that he's not a real boss. And I have said it, he's not a real boss, because again, why would you allow this whole situation to happen with the Scrum, with the Hangman Page, with the whole Jack Perry stuff? And the funny thing is that CM Punk asked for his release. He asked for his release. Apparently, I don't know when he asked for the release, but he said that AEW got upset with him because he showed up, and there was a report that he was backstage in WWE in Chicago when he said he went to see Bayley in the back. That was the day when Vince McMahon made a phone call and had him removed out of the building when he was in Chicago. And the funny thing is that AEW, whoever the people, whoever they got upset, said that he betrayed the company. I already knew somewhere or the other that he didn't even want to come back. There was no way he was going to come back and beat that same CM Punk, because I always said to myself, well, in the beginning, when he first came in, he didn't look like he was upset. Like he was all right. I mean, there was a report that he was in Tony Khan's ear, that he was wondering why Hangman Page was the champion, whatever. But apparently this whole Hangman Page situation was more of Hangman went out of script. We all know that. But CM Punk didn't know that was coming. And he said he couldn't hear Hangman Page talk to him because it was so loud in the building. But the whole thing is that they started fighting, whatever. He said he had to leg trip him and all that. And then he went back there to find out why he went online. He said, oh, I heard that, you was responsible for somebody getting fired here, which it was Colt Cabana, which led to the Scrum and whatnot. So all that started, and that's when CM Punk said, look, Tony, just let me go. Give me my money and let me go. Tony Khan was like, no, I can't do that. We're going to put 2 shows now, and we're going to separate the roster. CM Punk told Tony, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. But then, top of that, the first night of Collision, you had Jack Perry in the back cursing everybody out. Now, my question is, why is Jack Perry cursing people out? You are not a star. You are not an accomplished star to be that. You just Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, whatever. The guy with his dinosaur, that was all you are. And even if you was the pillar, the 4 pillars of the company, right now you're not any other pillar. Because if you think about it, look at supposedly the 4 pillars of AEW. It's Sammy Guevara, MJF, Jack Perry, and Darby Allin. Out of those 4, Darby and MJF are the only ones right now that probably everybody's been like, okay, these guys are the ones. But even if you got all this going on, it's ridiculous. The fact that Tony Schiavone had to go to CM Punk and ask him for help because this guy was over here cursing everybody out, doctors, agents, and all that, because he wanted to use a rental car to break the windshield with a pipe, and they telling him, look, that's not a smart move. That glass could hit in your eyes. He was cursing everybody out. CM Punk approached Jack Perry politely. This is what he's saying. He approached him politely. And he told Tony Schiavone, do you really want me to deal with this? Because I know how to handle it differently. He went to him politely. And yet Hook still went and put himself in the camera at AEW All In and said, real glass, cry me a river. And when I saw that, I knew there was going to be a problem. And within the hour, we saw Sean Ross Sapp saying there was an altercation in the back with CM Punk and Jack Perry. And the funny thing is that then the reports came out of that was that Tony Khan was feared for his life, that he launched, that CM Punk launched at Tony Khan. There was, in this interview, he didn't say anything about going after CM Punk. The crazy part is that, first of all, this is how much they probably didn't even give a rat's ass about CM Punk, because I guess he already wanted out. Nobody picked up CM Punk at the London airport. That's crazy. It's bad enough. He also mentioned that when he was out with his tricep injury, he didn't get the proper doctors' help to recover his tricep injury. He had to do it himself. And this doesn't look. We're hearing all this. I look at AEW now differently in a way, because it's like, do you really care about your wrestlers, or are you just daddy's little boy with a wrestling company, and you just don't want to do storylines? You don't want to do anything. I mean, the already reports the boys were let go. Dasha from the ring announcer was let go. Anthony Green was let go. Who else? A couple of Parker Bordeaux got let go. So they're doing all these cuts now, all of a sudden, because now you got to pay Okada, you got to pay Mercedes money, you got to pay Ospreay all this money, and yet you're still getting 747,000 views a week. And if you thought that was bad, it's gonna get worse now with the CM Punk situation. So again, he said when Jack Perry said "Cry Me a River," he was in the locker room. He wasn't in Gorilla like everybody said he was. When he wasn't in, see, this is the thing I said. A lot of these dirt sheets said that he wasn't there when Gorilla. So you cannot believe nothing but the dirt sheet. He even mentioned that, but we're gonna get to that. He said he was in the locker room, and he told Tony Khan, "You need to handle that. You need to handle that because I'm not dealing with it anymore. I'm tired of this shit." Tony told him, "What you want me to do?" And that led off to Jack Perry approaching Jack Perry. "What you doing this internet bullshit, whatever." Jack Perry said, "If you don't like it, do something about it." And that ended up with, CM Punk choking the shit out of Jack Perry. If it wasn't for Samoa Joe, God knows, it would have been worse. But the fact that they're saying that Tony Khan said he feared for his life, but yet after CM Punk had his match with Samoa Joe, he was still in the locker room watching the show with House of Black, Samoa Joe, and supposedly security went in there and said, "Oh, what are your plans for the night, whatever." And he said, "Not really. I'm just going to go out, eat with the guys, whatever." And security, he looked at security and he said, "Look, if I need to leave, let me know. I mean, I don't want you to lose your job because of that." And he was like, "Well, we're not asking you to leave, blah, blah, blah." And he still left. So the whole thing is just, it's ridiculous. There is no NDA when it comes to this Jack Perry thing. There is an NDA when it comes to the Scrum Brawl. That is an NDA there because he did say it on his, at the talk speaking with Helwani. Again, I don't know what was Tony Khan trying to do and whatnot, but right now it's just it's ridiculous. Even he said that AEW is not a real business, and they're not there to sell pay-per-views. They're not there to sell merchandise. They just having 5-star matches, which he said, how can you could have 5-star matches, but if the building is only 3/4 full, how is that successful? So it's just crazy. It's just, first of all, why was Jack Perry in Collision when they said that they were separating all these guys who were supposed to be friends of the elite? Jack Perry happened to be one of those. And maybe that is why now that Jack Perry, you don't see him at AEW, he's in New Japan and whatnot. Maybe there is no storyline, like I told Jay Santine the other day. Maybe that's just letting him run out his contract. And the question is he going to stay in New Japan after that? Because, I mean, this whole thing now goes to show you that, AEW, this is going to get affected. They are going to get affected by this. Because there's no way in the world that wrestling fans are going to look at this, especially wrestling fans, CM Punk fans, who at one point they probably still watch AEW. They're going to be like, man, fuck AEW. And they're just going to move on to watch WWE. And we're going to see that. We're going to try to see that when this week, when that happens. But Wembley was the last time that CM Punk spoke to Tony Khan when he called him a clown. Now, he said, "This place sucks. You're a clown." And he said, "I quit." And he quit. That's the crazy part, that he quit, but yet he's still getting paid by AEW. He said he's still got probably 1 year left in his contract. So why are you still paying this man if you kind of pretty much what's the word? You pretty much tarnish his name. You went on Chicago the night before All Out and said that you fear for his life. You got booed out of the building and whatnot. And it's crazy. But they said the positive part that he had from all that was working with Sting, which I remember that. He teamed up with Darby Allin and Sting, and he face painted against FTR, and I believe was I forgot who was the other person, but he said he enjoyed that. He definitely enjoyed the MJF, was, working thing with him. So, he just feel that, MJF still works for the internet, niche, and works, with all these supposedly the devil worshippers and all that. But, he said he enjoyed his time with MJF and this program he had. I mean, I think that's one of his best matches, the dog collar match he had with him and Warlow was one of the best matches I saw him. But, what the bottom line is, CM Punk spoke. He spoke of what happened in AEW. There is no NDA when it comes to the Jack Perry situation. There is an NDA with the Bucks and Kenny, but they don't. He said he hates talking about it. Now it's over and done. But my thing is, this is gonna affect Tony Khan and shows Tony Khan what he's made of, and it's sad for me to say it because I definitely believed on Tony Khan when he first got to AEW. I think AEW has reached his peak. I don't think anything else is going to come out of it, even though you got Mercedes Moné in there. And I already said Mercedes Moné being in there does not really, tickle my belly, to be honest. Because I just don't understand where they're going with that. And then there's rumors going around that Willow is pushing for Tessa Blanchard to come in. And if you do that, boy, you are looking for uproar and whatnot. And so that goes to show you that Tony Khan is just a guy who's a mark for the business. And is a guy who wants to say, I own a wrestling company. And as long as he got money, he's going to keep putting things into it. But, this whole CM Punk, he treated the man, he sold him a bag of goods and told him, oh, I'm bringing you in for this and this and that. And it turned out that it wasn't that. And now he may pay for it. He might pay for it. Now, do I see AEW go out of business? Highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. As long as they're number 2, because I don't see anybody else passing them. And Impact is not going to do it. NWA, you don't even hardly hear about them. You know what I'm saying? New Japan Pro Wrestling is still going to end up working with it because New Japan Wrestling is not going to get affected by it. New Japan Pro Wrestling is their own company, so they're not really affected by it. But WWE, they don't care. They did what they needed to do. And that was, gave the okay for CM Punk to go and speak about it, and he did. And now there's going to be consequences to it. And I'm telling you that right now because it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and there's nothing nobody can say. And like I said, there's for those who kept saying that I'm a CM Punk hater and this and this and that. Again, it's not that I don't like CM Punk. I just didn't like his attitude and whatnot. I felt that he was being a cancer behind behind the scenes. But he opened up now. Maybe I have a different approach about it. I don't hate the guy because he's good in the fucking mic as it is. Now, my thing is he's getting hurt constantly. He went to the Royal Rumble, he got hurt. So he's injury prone. But again, I'm happy to hear his side of the story. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of, all these clowns. Again, Rouseys, and that was another thing he said. These scrums with these fake journalists, and he mentioned Twitter. He said, you got people who go to these scrums who's they got a Twitter page. And they go to these scrums and act like they're journalists, and they're not journalists. A bunch of clowns. So, and he didn't mention Dave Meltzer by name, but he mentioned Meltzer by the things that Meltzer's done with the 5 stars matches and all that. So, I hope this is as clear as day that we don't have to hear about this bullshit anymore. He spoke. I give him credit for him to being out there and even speaking about it, because I'm sure he wanted to talk about it. But it's been 2 years with all this bullshit that has happened. What, less than 7-8 months ago with Jack Perry? It's over with. So we must move on. He's now in WWE, and hopefully he'll recover his tricep. And he said he feels good. So that means, he might show up sooner than probably September. Because that's the when he may return. But There's a difference. He said there's a difference with the doctors and all that. He says night and day with AEW and WWE. So sadly, but you know what? Like I said, now I'm looking at things different. Jack Perry, that should let his contract go, because this guy was cursing in the back, thinking he's a star. He's not a star. He's not an established star. You know what I'm saying? So that alone right there shows you that, this is a guy who, because his father was a Hollywood actor and he's friends with the Bucks, that he could do whatever he wants now. He's using that moniker of the scapegoat. So no, it's not a scapegoat. You started everything and you finished it by saying those words on the camera. And now here we are today. Now, not only did you just messed up your wrestling career, pretty much. I don't think anybody's going to want to bring you in except New Japan Pro Wrestling. They don't care because they work with AEW. But you also tarnished AEW even further. Now that they had like a spot of tar, now they got a whole black on mud all over them. Now, I don't know how AEW recovers from this because this is not good. This is not good for them. And the beginning of the year, this year has not been good for them either. They still haven't been able to cross that 900,000, even a million mark yet. They did like three or four times in 2022, and now they haven't been able to do that. So that is it for me today, guys. I decided to come in here and do this podcast because this weekend I am not doing a podcast. I am not competing with the WrestleMania weekend coming up, and I'm sure that a lot of people are not going to be listening to podcast because WrestleMania weekend is a lot of shows in my area, in New York City area. So a lot of shows are going to be open in Philadelphia. People are going to be watching WrestleMania. So I figured let me do this now and do what I have to do. So if you guys want to follow me, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also check out my podcast store, tcwr.veryinkpressive.com. That's tcwr.veryinkpressive.com. And check out the hats, t-shirts, and the sweaters in there and support. Also check out my YouTube channel. Got tons of contents going on there. So if you guys want to check it out, you can go check it out. And hopefully you enjoy it. So that is it for me today, guys. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about this whole thing. Is this going to affect AEW bad? Is this going to get worse for AEW after this situation? Or is it going to stay the same? We'll figure it out. We'll see what happens. And let me know what you think. Until then, guys, I'll see you next week.